Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It is Saturday. I am your friendly neighborhood Prax. Welcome to the channel, and we begin again with more character introductions for our high-level D&D campaign, A Song of Agapia's Fortune. And today we begin with one of my dear friends, PB. Hello, PB. Will you introduce yourself to the peoples at home?
Hi, I am PB at PB Blades Inside, and you can find me that everywhere, whatever. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to play Tibian, my wonderful halfling. I'm so excited to get started.
Well, we should get started then, if I remember my own commands. Look, they're commands. I know them. I wrote them.
You know, just because you wrote them doesn't mean you
There we go.
remember them.
This is true. But we should begin as we mean to. On an island. Very large island. Indeed, if one were to measure it from north to south, it spans a good 900 square miles. Off the coast of the main continent of Endios, the island of Sekele. Honestly, only the halflings that live there know how to pronounce it correctly. They are a unique group of individuals, um, known for their dedication to, well, to Mandra, Lady of the Waves. Because most of them engage in, well, what would you say the official term is, Tibian? Uh,
You know, sailing, privateering. Some more aggressive people might call it pirating. But I just say enjoying the sea life.
enjoying the sea life. Okay, okay. You have the waves and the shore. It's an island of rocks and sand, hills and valleys, trees. Pretty temperate climate all around. But while it's north to south is a good 900 miles, even at its widest point, it's almost just barely 300 miles across. You can never be too far from the smell of the ocean, sound of the crashing waves. The west is the continent of Endios, and to the east is the Great Sea. Further east is the chaos that is the archipelago of nope.
Arabia.
Arabia. I'm like, archipelago of no, not George R. R. Martin. No, of Arabia. And there still suffers some issue from the Sundering. Chaos of magic doesn't really go away even after 2,000 years. But where do we find Tibian on this sunny summer morning?
Tibian is in a spot near the coast, on an elevated sort of platform built out of driftwood, collected over the years. Just sitting there, legs crossed, um, eyes closed, soaking in the sun, and just communing with herself and the world around her.
The beaches are mostly large sand dunes. You see the swaying weight of the seagrasses. Not the not the sounds of dragons, however. Um, there aren't dragons. Well, no one's seen dragons in 2,000 years. It's quiet for the most part. You can hear the crash of the waves, subtle perpetual sound. You can relax there. You're feeling wonderful. What does Tibian look like?
Tibian is stands at just 3'4", has dark hair, shorts, longer on top. She wears a very loose fitting clothing, a light tan shirt that billows with the wind, and same darker blue, I guess, is an uncommon color in nature. Like some black billowing shorts, things that are just made for, hotter climates, but also, take advantage of the wonderful sea breezes. She's always has walking around with a very ornate looking walking stick. Some might call it a rod. And has always wearing the same belt, one that is common looking. It's common fashion to have some sort of rope as your belt around these places. A lot of people working in and around boats and such. But the one that Tibian wears specifically is a little bit more magical. It has a heavy weight at the end, shaped as a raindrop, dark, and always is slapping along as she walks with it. And also, the rope is a little bit more unique. It is green in hue, and it's beautifully braided as it circles her waist.
It's a quiet afternoon. It's restful. There isn't a lot going on, at least right now. No one has called for Tibian's attention in the last 48 hours.
Think, Tamara.
Mm-hmm.
Vivian has been taking full advantage, almost hiding away in her favorite secluded spots.
A nice, close to the dunes and the seagrasses, little cove away from everyone. It opens up into this blue water that's calm. And Tibian, can I ask for you to make... Oh no, you don't even need to. Yeah, I forgot you have your... Thank you for giving me your passives in your roll 20. You can hear just shortly coming off that in between what you know, the break of the sound of the waves, sounds of footsteps. That kind of very professional, hurried sound of leather boots on sand. They're distinctive. You know them immediately. They belong to your... Well, not your secretary. The council's secretary.
As I sit there enjoying the sea, the breeze, the sun, and I hear these footsteps approaching, I take a long moment considering whether or not I should make a run for it and dive and swim away in hopes of continuing my peaceful week. But I let, those fantasies play in my head as I continue to sit there and accept that this is the reality of life now, and it has been for the past almost 15 years now, and I allow the footsteps to reach me.
Bosque is tall for a halfling. She stands just about 3'8", 3'9". She stretches her back, and on the extra heels, she might make 4 feet. On occasion, she even does. With long, very long brown hair that's very simply pulled and twisted away from her eyes so that she can see, but mostly left unbound, at least when she's on shore. Very simple, hand-dyed, hand-woven cloths of a dress and a simple girdle apron over the top. She's carrying a stack of parchments. She kind of is like scanning the entire beach, and it takes her a couple minutes because you've kind of tucked yourself away a little bit, and just when you stand up, she kind of, madam.
What have I told you about calling me madam? You can just call me Tibian. We've worked together for years now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, you're part of the council and I'm not.
We're in the middle of the dunes next to the beach. Relax a little bit.
I'm busy. I'm working. You're supposed to be working. So, and then after we finish working, I can relax on the beach. And even perhaps go swimming. And if you finish enough, I might even have fun. So, I need you to sign these. And she kind of like hands you a stack that are of like a couple pieces of 20. And on a like wooden clipboard that she's kind of put underneath. Not quite what we would consider a clipboard. It's kind of made of driftwood and sanded, but it isn't really shaped in any way. It's kind of just taken as the form of what the wood itself has given, and the waves and the drift have caused for it. And there's a brace at the top that's more like a band than a metal clip.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of like pulls a pen out from her hair and just hands it to you.
I take it and I start half-heartedly looking through what I'm starting to sign. And what exactly am I doing? Signing my life away to whom?
Oh, no, these are just clarifications for, the first 10 are the current privateering agreements for the Vantunian fleet.
Fine. And I just start signing away, page after page, occasionally looking up.
A number of them are your cousins, perhaps distant cousins, signing, they're the privateering. The difference between a pirate and a privateer really, really is paperwork. At the end of the day.
The paperwork I am responsible for.
Well, you're responsible for signing. She's responsible for keeping it straight.
I just continue going page by page, signing everything. I sit down where I am instead of continuing to stand up. And I ask, as I fucking go through this entire stack of pages,
yep.
I ask, how's the family? I heard you guys had a party last week.
Pleasant. My sister got married. Again. I think this is 4, or is it 5? I don't know, I wasn't paying attention.
Well, hopefully this is the last one.
I mean, the first 3 weren't bad, they just were all handfast, so that was fine. And so this has to be 5, because 3 were handfast, and that was easy in and out. Those were done parties. Number 4, well, that was the one that you cancelled the arrangement, might be the polite way to say it.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes, well, we thank you very much for your murder of the, her ex. This one...
At least I could do.
Well, we appreciate it. This one is a Voss, so perhaps he'll be dealable. I mean, they're good merchants.
If nothing else, you'll be getting some nice things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe go traveling a little bit.
Hopefully soon.
Is this it? Is this everything?
Well, that's all of the first 10 were the contracts, and then the last 2 are requests for your special capabilities.
Oh. And I'll take a second and I'll actually read through these a little bit more specifically.
The island, the resort.
Oh, yes.
They've begun discussion and building of an actual, resort. I don't know. The, and she got, the Claspecs are in charge of, building this particular resort, and monitoring. They're saying this will be a good deal, and that Tenerique and Cortel are very interested in, attending events. There was a discussion of like hosting large festivals and whatever. I don't know, not my business. Well, eventually it will be my business, which is why I'm mildly stressing. But at least it's the class specs who are arranging it, and not, the Comstra.
Hmm.
But they have a small problem.
Oh, and what is this problem?
Well, a number of people keep. Well, one or two perhaps of the labor force seem to have disappeared.
Oh, that does seem to be a bit of a problem. Any leads?
They keep going in the water. The east
Oh.
coast, not into the bay.
Oh. Well, that doesn't seem very smart.
Well, they're not
Yeah.
local.
That would explain it.
Apparently, they thought that they could hire some of the, gnomes from Kosalov to do some of the architecture work.
Keep telling them if they're gonna hire people, they need to also hire somebody to teach them about Sakal. It is not an island for everyone, as beautiful as it may be.
Apparently, the Comstructs did mention that it was unwise to go. The class specs did mention that it would be unwise to go, swimming in what would be, riptide, and the weather wasn't good. And apparently the gnomes, a couple there was agreement and understanding, but I don't know that anyone actually explained, which is why I'm sending at least 4 of my younger siblings down to monitor things. But your skills might be more important at the moment.
Sounds like it could be fun. If nothing else, I finally get to visit the construction location. I sign off on it.
Good! You have 14 days. Thank you very much. You need to be back in time for the wedding you're officiating.
Oh, I completely forgot. Do I have something to wear for that?
Yes.
Okay.
You have a choice, even. You may choose orange or gold.
What is the theme?
Well, the wedding is a Van Tunen to a Claver, so, farmer to a pirate.
A privateer, please.
Privateer.
Let us go with the orange. I'll choose the orange. Do I also have the gift?
Yes.
Have we arranged for a gift? Okay. 14 days, you say?
Yes, plenty of time. If not, I'll know why.
Okay. Oh, have a little bit more confidence in me.
Oh, I have total confidence in you. I have very little confidence in the current maintenance of the roads. That's another thing we need to add to the list. Then she kind of pulls another pen out of her hair and then makes a note on her list.
It's always the roads. How many roads do we have? How long? Put it on the list. We need to just have a smaller council that deals with the roads. It's always with the roads.
All right. We need roads. Okay, that's on the list. Now, are you going immediately, or do I have to, or are you going to come back to the office to deal with some of the other issues that are currently sitting on your desk?
If I hadn't left some things there, I would just leave now, but I look back longingly at the sea and at my beautiful, peaceful location.
Mm-hmm.
And I turn back around and I'm like, we'll go back to the office. I will deal with the last bit of paperwork, and then I will be off. And hopefully I shall get there in the next
I
few
mean,
days.
from Justra to the island, it's 2 days, 3 days.
See, it's only 2 or 3 days if you're driving.
You don't want to take a cart?
No. I need to see what these roads are that everyone is talking about, that with all the problems.
Right.
It'll be good. I need my exercise. I've been sitting idle for so long.
All right, then. Well, in that case, have fun. I have 15 other things to do and 3 other counselors to track down. You wouldn't happen to know where the good, very nice Barteld, excuse me, not Barteld, name. Pilter Veltman is, do you?
As she is saying this, as she like looked down for like a millisecond, I am already like 20 feet away, towards the office, and I'm like, I don't know. Ask somebody else. See you later. And I'm out. Full on triple action to dash away.
You also have Step of the Wind if you want to go even faster, but you don't need to because, you know, you're a monk and ungodly fast to begin with.
Yep. I'm out of here.
What is your move speed, out of curiosity?
It is 50. Yeah, it's 50.
I would like to remind everyone that Tibian is a halfling.
Hello. Look, these little legs, they get me a moving.
They do get you moving. You do move very quickly. You do move very quickly. So you stop by the office. And office is kind of a general term, I guess. It's a long, open-ish building, made of the tall, heavy trees, and like koa wood trees that kind of grow on the island. It's quasi-tropical. Picture, for comparison to our own purposes, picture Okinawa and the climate of Okinawa and Sicily or Malta, right? Warm weather, sea breezes, good for growing trees. We might even say perhaps good for growing crops, possible are volcanic soil, although there hasn't been any volcanic activity. There are a couple of hot springs, at least on the island. No one's ever actually named it. They might get around to it now that they're building a resort on it, but that's future halfling problems. You do see, so it's this large kind of building built from these large, heavy trees that are beautifully sanded and polished, with a wall that kind of opens with open lattice work, and again, a lot of the furniture is made from these seagrasses kind of interwoven together, strong, sturdy, stable. Even a bunch of the shutters are made of it. A number of people on the island even use it for things like armor, where it would give you a pretty decent protection because against, well, piercing. But it has a lot of these, and there's a large table. It's again made of multiple planks of wood. It hasn't been really shaped round. It kind of came together as it was and kind of drifted. A number of chairs are kind of built from these same repurposed and reused planks from ships. You have, instead of what most people on the mainland would have of lanterns and window, internal candlelight, instead there's a lot of prisms, and built one of the biggest trade contracts between Sakel and Tenerique is for the manufacture of the glass prisms that are designed to fit into the ceilings of the buildings to kind of shatter the light into the rest of the building and disperse it in a number of ways. There are 3 other members of the council who kind of wave and nod at you, all busy doing their own thing. There are a number of like small desks, often like alcoves, but they all have this, you have a kind of like curtain you can close if you really need privacy, but there's this concept of, because you're all working together, you should all be able to see and speak with each other. Also, there isn't a lot of privacy on a ship, is there?
Nope. I will, wave, say hello, and I will walk into my area and see the papers Foske told me about, and I'll look through them with a little bit more of a critical eye, since I don't have someone telling me exactly what I'm reading.
Oh,
and
in that case, I should ask for a roll.
Oh,
I feel like I should ask for a roll. I do a thing. Sorry, I forgotten all of my. I roll investigation.
Okay.
I needed to make sure I remembered what the skill rolls are in this game.
Was that
or
a 20?
That's a 20. That's good. Most of these are pretty standard. Signing off on, you've kind of been given a bunch of building contracts for Southern Justra, the new district that's kind of going up, land clearing, petitions for a number of petitions actually for the roads to be better between Justra and Zenstra. There's a large signed petition by a number of the elderly concerned citizens of the island. 2 of the names right at the top you recognize immediately.
I good-heartedly just roll my eyes. Oh, it's always them.
Yep. They are concerned about. They wish to petition for protection for the dune crabs.
I look at them and I'm like, God, always Eden and Brum. Always Eden and Brum. Petition. I will take that. I'll set aside that petition to do something with that in a moment. And I continue looking at the stack.
There's nothing else really there's nothing time sensitive. Put it that way. Bosque knows you. And knows that if she wants you to actually sign something in a timely manner, she brings it to you if it's time sensitive.
Well, this is why she's been our secretary for so long. I go into one of the crates I have that has just a paper, and I grab a pen just from in between stacks of papers I have on the bookshelf, and I write a quick proposal about creating some sort of committee to deal with all these complaints and requests about road things. Because I'm sick and tired of hearing about these roads. And we should have someone overseeing them that's not just us.
Mhm.
And I will then take the petition for the petition, and I'll put it up on our. We don't necessarily have like a cork board. We have sort of like a spongy wall from specific wood. You know, that's very similar to cork. And I place it up there in it's sort of our not concerns, sometimes jokes, sometimes things that future generations might call memes that we put up on this wall. And I throw the petition up there in the middle. So if someone wants to deal with it, they can. I am out of the office. I moved my little plaque on my desk that I specifically had made that says out of office, because it happens so often. And even though everyone knows I'm gone, it makes me feel better to know that I have a little thing there. Makes it feel more official.
I have
Like,
to ask,
at
who
the
made
office.
this? Who made this plaque?
Who made this plaque? So a long time ago, back in my early adventuring days, I met a dwarf, whose name I don't remember at the moment, and I've kept in touch as I do with most people, and for one of my birthdays, they sent me this little plaque that said out of the office. And it's made of like a very nice, very, dwarven crafted, take a lot of pride in the things that they make, even though this person in particular is not necessarily someone who works in the metals. They cut out a piece of metal from an old armor set that they had, and they engraved out of office on it.
Very nice. So, you make your way down the road. Could you roll me a survival, please?
Oh, that's spicy.
21. It's going to take you a couple days travel to get from Justra to the island. It is, as you go, you realize that the people complaining about the roads aren't entirely wrong. It's like once you get just beyond the hill that's beyond Justra to the outside to the north, and you can't see the road anymore from the city. What was well paved and maintained, like gravel, like well built dwarven concept roads of gravel overlaid with paving stones so it drains well. Yeah, the paving stones are missing in places. There's a number of where the road itself isn't paved at all. There isn't even the gravel drainage. Some of them have large holes. Well, large for a halfling. Holes. That definitely seem to be perhaps a danger to most people who wish to travel from north, the southern portion of the island to the northern portion of Sakel.
I in my head as I'm walking or running past them, I'm just like, I hate it when people are right. I keep on keeping on. I'm like, well, I already wrote the proposal. There's not much more I could do at this moment.
Indeed, indeed. It's when you sleep for the night, I'm assuming you sleep at least once.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to arrive with a state of exhaustion, or do you?
No. I gotta look nice. This is like a nice place. I gotta make good first impressions.
Mm-hmm. Um, you... It's a quiet night. There isn't any of the local wildlife out. There are a few, you can hear the sounds in the distance of the waves getting closer. You can hear, mostly some of the large bird animals that are kept a little further away from the road and some of these farming areas. Um, but it's mostly quiet, serene. There's a second day, there's a rope bridge, except it's not really a rope bridge. It's a domed bridge made of interwoven tree roots of one large deciduous tree on the island of Sakel, and then another one on the other side of the island that the resort is on. They interweave into this almost like tunnel of a large suspension bridge that goes from one to the other. Pays to have druids as friend on the payroll, doesn't it?
It sure does. And I take a second before like crossing to just like really sit there and appreciate it and just reminisce on past times as I admire the craftsmanship.
Is there a particular person you're reminiscing about?
An old friend who I traveled with, whose name I absolutely remember at this very second, and I'm not looking up at as we speak. And by as we, I mean me. My old friend, Dial. Dial.
Yes. A good friend. But these long interwoven, and it spans the length from Drustra to the island. It actually is a good 10 miles across at the nearest point where this bridge is made, and you can see these two large anchoring trees that are still living. And so this living bridge has kind of been interwoven, and you can see like shoots are coming off of the bridge itself with the beginnings of blooms, summer blooms. You can smell the jasmine in the air.
And I just walk through and do the thing, where you just run your hand behind you, touching every bump as I walk by. And
there are a number of like little benches put around because most people can't walk 10 miles without taking a break, but you.
True. And I'll just take a second and I'll sit at one of the benches and send just sit and pray a little bit to Mara, even though it wasn't Demandra. I always remember my god's names.
She appreciates the sentiment.
And just and I just take a moment to think about a memory about walking through a forest early on in our adventuring days, and Dial talking about trees, giving me specifics about things that I no longer remember, nor did I really pay attention to at the time, but it was just nice hearing this very shy druid speak very passionately about something, as opposed to being fairly quiet as she usually was. And once I give the moment some time, I'll stand up and I'll continue my way towards a resort.
Could you roll me a religion, please?
Oh. I rolled a 3.
Okay.
Now move on.
Good to know. Thanks. Thank you very much.
That was a 2 on the die. Anyone who's who's wondering.
You move back on. You approach the construction site. There are a number of gnomes, moving quickly, talking to a member of the, Klaspek family. You don't recognize them. Well, I mean, you recognize them as a member of the Klaspek family, but you don't perhaps know them personally.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of, it's an older looking halfling male presenting, very like shaggy hair around the back and like sides of his head, and then he's got the 2 little wisps that he's kind of let grow out so he can kind of attempt to comb it over, but no, it's all bald in the middle. It's just a circle around the side of his head.
Is it like the, oh god, what was it? The Wizard or the DM from that Dungeons and Dragons cartoon from back in the day?
Yeah. We can go with that.
I I make my introduction. I'm like, hello, it is nice to finally meet you. Mr. Kostov?
Anton Klaspek. You are, oh, you're Tibian, right? You're the counselor.
That I am. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
More importantly, you're the one who can kill things very efficiently. Good. We are off schedule by about 2 weeks. We need to fix this to get back on schedule, and we don't need any more gnomes being eaten by things.
Can you let me know what exactly is happening? You know this area better than the gnomes do. What's happening?
We've got a couple bodies. They're coming up on that beach. They've been chewed on.
Oh. Why are they going into the water? Did you not tell them not to go into the water?
I did. I said you could only go into the water on that shore. But they show up on that beach. And a couple people are saying no, they never went into the water on that shore, except only on that beach. And if we have to have a problem where we have a resort with no beach access and we can't have anybody here, we're gonna lose money.
Oh, well, that certainly is a problem. I will hopefully get this dealt with post haste.
Good. There's blood. I don't do blood. That's your job. Mori! We need to fix this! And he kind of walks away, gesturing to a number of people, and you kind of look up and you can see that there's a couple pulleys that are swinging in a way that looks very precarious. It's kind of tacked up there.
I'm gonna take a wide berth around that. And as I'm walking through the area towards the shore, I'm gonna keep an eye out for any gnome workers that might be just hanging around or taking a quick break in between work before I approach the shore itself. Saying hello to everyone as I pass by.
There's a couple that are like off to the side who seem to be around a small table where blueprints have been kind of rolled out. They're all wearing uniform-ish, and by that I mean they're not like a professional uniform, but they all kind of are wearing the same kind of heavy linen tunics overlaid with like a heavy leather smock with a number of pockets, and you can see items like poking out, and like, you know, leather pants and boots, and they're just kind of both like three of them are kind of leaned over this table and, you know, charting out and like pointing at different things on the construction site.
I'm gonna sneak over next to them, and just pop in and say, "Oh, this is looking good." I
Who are you?
Oh, hello. I am Tibian Van Twinen. It is a pleasure to meet you.
Where did you come from? How did you get here?
Walking, mostly. Running sometimes.
And like the one who screamed kind of reaches out a finger and like pokes you. Oh, you're real. Okay.
I, have you been experiencing things that are not real around here?
Honestly, I thought it was Joey's homebrew, but yeah, there's been weird shit.
Oh. And what is your name, if you do not mind me asking?
Louis.
Louis. Oh, it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Louis. Can you tell me what has been going on over there? And I point over at the beach.
A couple of the crew went swimming. Didn't come back. I told them not to go swimming too far because that side of the, and she kind of points to the other side where the water is, to the eastern shore where the water is opens out into the large ocean, unprotected sea of chaos. It's like that might be horrible riptide, and that the weather possibly wasn't so good, and then we show up with a bunch of bodies that were being half chewed on. This is not good. We are charging you for hazard pay. We're doubling our costs.
I don't know. I mean, it is not up to me. I'm not paying for this. I'm just here to help out the situation. But did no one tell you not to go into that beach?
Of course not. We're not stupid. We don't go anywhere near there.
But somehow they ended up there?
Yeah.
Peculiar. And I look at the other one of the other people that was standing there, and I'm like, have you seen or heard of anything odd happening while you've been working around here?
There's things in the water. It's got a face and gills, and look, it tried to drag my friend under, and I swear I heard it directly from Susanna, and I can't guarantee, but it was definitely from Susie. And Susie was saying to me, and she was telling, and she doesn't lie, she's a good person, and she was telling me directly that, you know, it had like things growing on the side of its face, and then it had teeth, and there was like teeth like this, and it was like,
Oh, that sounds terrifying.
yeah, and it ate Frankie and then spit him out, which is not surprising because Frankie is, well, Frankie was a sour individual, so I figure if he was that sour an individual, somebody was gonna, has to taste that sour too. Honestly, my mother always said, if you're a nicer person, everybody will appreciate you. And if you're a sour person, then you're just going to be, you know, not appreciated or loved, and then when you die, nobody's going to care. And so I try and be nice.
You know, sound words to live by. Your mother is a very wise woman.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's why she divorced all 16 of her husbands.
Smart woman. What was your name again?
Oh, Betty. Hi, I'm sorry. I'm Betty. Nice to meet
Betty?
you.
It is nice to meet you also, Betty.
Mm-hmm.
And
you met Louis, and over there, that's Gertrude. We try and call her Gertie, but she doesn't. She gets real upset about it. She likes to be called Gertrude.
Oh, that is fair. That is very, very fair. Is there anyone here who? Is there a Joey around this area?
And she kind of looks around and like moves her head. It's like, chime over there by the dock.
By the dock? I'll keep that in mind. Thank you very, very much, Betty. It is wonderful to make your acquaintance.
Yeah. Have a nice day. Oh, don't be careful. Don't go in the water. There's things that will eat you.
I will take that advice to heart. And I will wave away as I walk over, not towards the beach per se, but like I survey around the area. I approach the beach that everyone's supposed to be going to, and I look out into the sea, and see if there's anything abnormal, especially looking towards where the other bad beach is.
You can roll me. You're looking for anything abnormal. I would want 2 checks from you.
Okay.
One is perception and one is nature.
Okay. I am doing so. As always, like I said, I never go anywhere without my walking stick, aka my rod of alertness, in my hand, because apparently rods are actually very long.
Yes, they are.
So for a halfling, it would be a walking stick, which just gives me advantage on perception checks when I have it in my hand. Oh, there's a button that's fancy now that I can click. That gives me advantage.
So
I
20.
rolled a 20 and a nature roll.
Yep.
Which I have nothing fancy for. 18!
So with a 20 on perception, you can see a small gnome figure at the end of the dock who looks to be like measuring where the dock is, as if they're going to add spaces for dock slips. So this is like the main dock, and they haven't put out like the boat slips yet.
Yeah.
So it looks to be measuring distances. And you can see also beyond this small figure that's on the dock, fast moving water. And the hint of a fin and a gill, and and with an 18 in nature, you know enough about most general sea life to know that number 1, it is not a dolphin or a manatee or anything kind and nice and possibly, but this is something it's a little bit carnivorous. It's the shape of the fins, you can kind of tell.
As I'm looking out, eyes squinting, and I see this person on the docks, and I'm like, I wonder if that's Joey. And I look over, and I'm like, oh shit, that's not good. And I start running towards that direction.
Your move speed is 50 feet. You're not that far. It's 100 feet, perhaps, from where you are. So it wouldn't take you very long to get there. And you can see this male gnome kind of look up to you like, what?
I'm like, hey, are you Joey?
Yeah, who yous?
Hey, I'm Tibian. We're gonna be great friends later. For now, I'm gonna need you to go over back to Betty and Louie and them, because I seem to have a situation here in the water, and I don't think you want to be here for that.
Roll persuasion.
Oh no.
6.
I rolled a 6.
Why do you think we're gonna be great friends?
I hear you have a wonderful taste in beverages. Something that I would be very willing to indulge in.
I see
after I finish work.
I see you. You got class, lady. You got class. I'll go make sure there's some special things available for yous when you come back.
Don't tell them, but this is why you're my favorite, Joey.
It's fair. I appreciates you too. And he starts sauntering, like sticking his chest out like, yeah, I'm the greatest. This halfling thinks I'm cool.
And I am, as I watch him saunter away for a few feet, I'll turn back around and I'll take a better look at whatever is causing a ruckus in this water.
Oh, what's causing a ruckus in this water? As you turn back around, you can just see it breach the surface in kind of one taloned, webbed, clawed hand plants on the dock and kind of pulls itself up. And you can hear a couple screams behind you. As, "Oh, good God, what is that?" Is shouted loudly at you. Well, at least behind you. As a large, well, particularly for halflings, humanoid size figure, fins on the jaw, spikes, claws, distorted figures and shapes and sizes, muscled, stands and now you can kind of see him.
Oh, well, aren't you just absolutely magnificent? We are gonna have great fun here.
Yep, indeed. Would you like to roll initiative?
I would love to roll initiative. I rolled an 18.
And wait, you have a rod of alertness?
I do have a rod of alertness, yeah. Does that give me something?
Refresh my memory and double check that, but I thought rod of alertness gave you advantage on initiative rolls.
Let's see. Alertness while holding the rod, you have advantage on perception checks and rolls for initiative. Oh, you're right.
I was pretty sure. Uh-huh.
Still 18 though.
Okay. Which is good, because it's a... Why did it roll twice? Well, it's a 7, so it doesn't matter. It's going after you.
And it absolutely understood what I said. It's like whether he cared to, they cared to listen to my
you
words.
can actually see that there was recognition behind.
Yeah. I am going to take one of my hands and unravel this belt I've had around my waist, and I'm going to swing it around me, catch it with this part of my arm that I can't remember the name of right now. I'll let it swing over my head, and then with that momentum, I'm going to spin, and I'm going to try and make an attack with Riptide.
Ooh, very nice. Love this.
Is this Riptide? Yes, this is Riptide. A 23?
Oh, a 23 will hit.
And
if you click the word Riptide in the chat, it'll roll the damage for you.
13. Ooh, 13 with the first attack, and then with the second attack, with the momentum it's lost while hitting the creature, I'm gonna swing it behind me, and then just whip it as hard as I can back at it. This time going for the to try and hit it with the grapple if I hit it for 26, which I'm assuming hits since the 23 did. And
yes.
And then it's what, athletics check to see if I grapple it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's an opposed athletics.
I rolled a 6.
Well, it rolled a 15. Is it? Oh, I know what's going on. Hold on. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So it rolled a 15, and so it is not currently grappled.
Does the damage still hit it? If
yeah, the damage will still hit it even if it doesn't even if it isn't grappled.
Okay, it'll take 8 bludgeoning.
Yes, it is.
And then
what languages do you speak?
I speak Common and Halfling. However, I can with time and sun and whatever it's called, understand anything.
So you would understand this creature's Aquan insult to your lineage, your mother, and basically to telling you that it fully intends to ensure that it will drink your life's blood from your skull.
Oh, that's creative. I'm gonna keep that one in mind. I know someone down at the bar that's gonna love that one. As I go for my bonus action attack, using Riptide, using my extra attack prior, and having swung it over to my right. Gonna keep that momentum, go around kind of like a lasso. And this time, instead of going for a side attack, I go for like an under, almost softball like pitch attack. And again, I try to go for the grapple on him on this one if I hit.
Yes.
With the 24.
You're gonna hit.
And this time I have advantage on the roll because I didn't get it the first time.
Right? No, he has disadvantage.
He has disadvantage. Okay.
He has, if you had grappled him, if you had grappled him, he would have had disadvantage on your next attack roll.
Okay.
I will clarify the wording on that.
Yeah, you're good. I'll still throw the athletics check in there for an 18.
Yeah, for a 15 he fails. Why is it rolling twice? Who knows? He fails. He is now grappled by you. In your Riptide.
And
you can move him 10 feet in any direction.
I'm going to, well, I guess we're on the dock, right? So it's fairly slim.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move him I'm just gonna hit him over towards where he is a little closer to me, towards my flank.
Okay.
My flank away from the people. So I'm in between them and all the workers. And then let me roll the damage. Boop. Another 8 damage. And that will be the end of my turn.
It is very unhappy and is now closer to you. So it will at you and then will attempt to hit you with first one of its like limbs, you realize, kind of extends out from the claws and loosens. It has work. Oh, but it has to get out of... No, it would roll with disadvantage, but it can still attack because it's even though it's grappled. Because it has a distance attack. It's just with its... So, a 24 to hit.
Oh, yeah, that hits.
So, you will take 3 bludgeoning damage, because I rolled like crap.
Oh.
Minimum bludgeoning. And you have a DC. You are now also grappled as he kind of swings his own clawed tentacle around your tiny person. It is now wrapped around you, and then you kind of see as it shifts these large puffer fish-like spikes or quills kind of come out, and one shoots out at you.
Oh, that's not very nice.
For a 19.
19 does not hit.
Oh, well, then you don't have to worry about the Constitution saving throw.
It's okay. I'm immune to poison.
That's okay. You're a monk. He would have tried anyways.
You know what? I appreciate it. It's really the thought that counts. So if I stay in grapple, it's a disadvantage on attacks. And then to try and get out of the grapple is an action. Okay. So I'm just going to try to hit him then with disadvantage instead of trying to get him with the Riptide, I'm just gonna go with a good old fashioned punch. Since we're so up close and personal.
Yep.
And I have disadvantage collect. I do. So the first one for 18.
Yeah, that'll hit.
Do I have to announce key before or after? Because I always forget about key.
Tell me a key when you're gonna spend it, that's all.
Okay. So I'm going to use a key to use upon the rolling tide. So I'm forcing them to make a dexterity saving throw to avoid being knocked prone.
Well, they have a disadvantage because they're grappled.
Oh, you grappled me, I'll grapple you.
So if a 7, I'm assuming a 7 is gonna fail.
Yeah, that's not.
They are now prone.
Let me roll damage. That's 10 of blunt damage.
How would you like to kill this thing?
Oh, this is gonna be fun. So I was gonna do like a whole thing. Where as he, as I go with the grapple with my Riptide, and then they do with their old tenderly bits. We're basically like out here, we're dancing.
Yeah.
Except I said, that cool thing, not cool. So I hit him, and immediately they fall to the ground. And I as they're on the ground, I do a turn to get out of their grapple, and I do like a roundhouse kick to them as they're on the ground. And then as they're on the ground, I go for like the final flurry of blows, extra 2 attacks to make sure I KO this guy.
You kind of splat, and there's kind of this moment of like as you strike at the end when you feel it die, and you kind of feel that like rubbery feeling of large fish, and there's that like little splat that comes from, large fish being struck against a wooden surface.
Yeah.
And you look around, and there isn't anything else in the water.
I guess very ungracefully for this monster, but gracefully for me, unwind my Riptide from them, and in the same movement wrap it around my waist once more in about one fell swoop. And I will just look on the person of this fish person.
Yep.
And see if there's any sort of insignia or anything that would suggest that they are more than one of this hanging around the shore.
Roll me investigation.
12.
With a 12, it very obviously doesn't look like there's any signs of anything close monster. There's nothing breaching the water. There's no large signs of motion in the water. You don't see anything that looks like a habitat. And you look at this creature, and it's malformed. It's distorted. It looks sunken in. It's just died, but you can start to smell the stench of rotting fish. Like fish that's been rotting for 3 or 4 days, not just, 30 seconds. This is, perhaps you're pretty sure, and something that came from the sea, from the deep water. And if it got this close, it didn't come with others. You wouldn't.
Yeah.
That would have been noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
The abominations of the deep are not subtle.
I'm gonna take the time to drag it away from everyone, further down the shore, just dragging it slowly because I'm not that strong, but probably strong enough to just drag him slowly but surely to a more secluded area where I will undrop him and then look for some driftwood wood or some wood that will fit them and also float on the water if they were put on top of it. And once I do that, I finagle the raft in a ceremony I'm very familiar with at this point, in preparing a sea burial for this creature. Because if I've learned anything in my lifetime, it's to, even, you know, they're a monster, they are part of nature. They deserve a respectful send off, whether I kill them or not. And as I finish making this, I strike a fire on the tinder I have on the raft, and I push them off into the sea.
It takes a minute to light, and now you can smell it, and it's the scent of burnt. Now it's the smell of burning, rotting fish. It's
why it's far away from everyone.
It is why it's far away from everyone, but you can see as it's just bobbing on the water. This moment where it kind of is smoldering, flickering, and then it flashes and catches, and the entire thing is on fire. And it burns longer than you expect, and brighter than you expect. Color is a bright flame. There's a color inside the center of the flame. You're not 100% sure of what it is. It could be blue. Maybe. And it takes a while to burn, even at this high flame and bright flash that you can see.
Is this something I've seen before? The sort of fiery difference?
Don't think so. I mean, like,
Okay.
you've burned other creatures, right?
Mm-hmm.
And monsters. And you know that sometimes magical creatures take longer to burn just because they're magical.
Yeah.
And you know that sometimes they, you can smell they're different natural things, but this particular color of the flame, I don't think you've seen before.
Could I deduce or just like chalk it up to it being another creature influenced by the wacky shit from Arabia?
Yeah, no, that's not an uncommon realization. It probably is true. It's definitely a mutation form of some sort. So.
As I watch it curiously, as the fire starts to die down, I'll make my way back to the job site.
As you make your way back to the job site, before you get there, you are struck by this moment of flash of magic. It's a magic you've experienced before. You know exactly who it is. And this moment of you just feel it come across you.
I'm getting my my daily tweet.
Yeah, your daily tweet.
Tib, got an invite to the coronation. +1 with Agnar. Know you're on the list. Can't wait to see you there or sooner. Kisses.
What is it, 25 words?
Yes.
I'll reply with a coronation. Well, that sounds fun. Look forward to seeing you. Gotta get work done first. don't have too much fun without me. Kisses.
And we will end with Tibian and the shot of from the as the camera watches this burning raft in the distance kind of slowly sink under the water as Tibian walks back to the dig site or build site, not dig site, build site. And Joey's standing there holding like a couple bottles in his hand and smirking at you.
Joey.
You killed the creepy thing! You get first dibs.
And to the fourth wall, I'm like, this is why he's my favorite.
And that's where we're going to end our introduction to Tibian. Thank you, PB. Tell the fine people where we can find you, all the good stuff.
Hi, I'm PB at PB Plays Inside. You can find me there everywhere I stream on this very site, twitch.tv, at PB Plays Inside. Follow me on Twitter at PB Plays Inside to find out what fun things I'm up to at any time. And I am so excited to see what Chris has in later in this episode. And I can't wait until our full sessions in a couple of weeks.
Yes, 2 weeks exactly, actually. But yes, follow PB. We'll find out more details in the near future. But it is now time. We're going to take a short break, stretch, bio, snack, all of that good things. When we come back, we get to meet our next character, Havy. And until we'll see you in a few minutes, everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We hope you were refreshed, you stretched, you did all of those good things. And now we get to meet our next member, player, character. Um, why don't we begin with my introducing my very dear friend, Chris. Hello, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's great. It's a Saturday. We have D&D. I get to play with you again. Haven't played with you in a while.
It's been a while. It has.
Now I'm glad that you're back. And you get to play a very interesting character that I freely admit that I've been looking forward to meeting for a very, very long time. Couple weeks and details. And I wanted to have this character introduced. So we should begin with a very important question. It's high summer.
Okay.
Where on the continent of Endios do we currently find Havy?
I think at this point, Javi would have already returned maybe a few years or a handful of years ago to Visava to continue his monitoring of the Mage Academy there. He had taken a break after the council's issues and gone back to Yaraba to report out. But I think that's where we would find him this bright summer day.
The bright summer day in the capital city of Visava, the capital of the Empire of Varoom. Relatively young country, at least in the grand scheme of things. 500 years ago, when the dwarves of Darasov and Posolav petitioned to Visava, to the human kingdom of Visava, to have a unification, created the giant, beautiful empire of Varoom. The city of Visava has wide, Roman-style streets, dwarven in design and execution, gravel for drainage, paving stones. They're a standard length across. All of the axles in the Empire are now that same standard set, so that you can have two carts going one in opposite direction, or two right next to each other across the main boulevards. There are stepping stones across the street. Each of they're again set to that uniform length and width for the carts to fit between. It's the beginning of a new kind of unification. There are stone houses, 2-3 stories, large roofs, mostly wooden, some thatch, some tile. There's organization now. The city is being rebuilt and redesigned on a grid. It almost is finished. It's been a project ongoing for a couple hundred years now. Section by section, old pre-empire architecture is torn down, redesigned, rebuilt. The roads are restructured to be uniform and straight. But Varoom is also unique because it is the only place where there are teleportation circles that you can go from any of the major cities. Visava, Staldava, Baliva, Slagava, Posolav, Darasov, and at one point the city of Offerentor. The Offerentor circle, unfortunately, is no longer in existence. That was a relatively new thing about 40 years ago, 30 years ago. It is a bustling city of trade and commerce. But where do we find Havy this particular morning?
I think, let's see, since it's morning, he would likely be making his rounds through one of the poorer districts that he is aware of and checking in with a number of the folks who are considered caretakers amongst their community and see if they have how they are for food and whatnot for their those under their care.
It's a couple small, a couple of the smaller poorer districts haven't yet been revitalized,
Hmm.
repaired, renewed. All of those wonderful watchwords that just great for community building. You can hear a couple birds singing. There are a number of trees. This particular, kind of cul-de-sac off of one of the main roads kind of has a number of wooden structures about 2-3 stories tall that kind of lean into each other and start to almost seem to lean into the main cul-de-sac. There's a well in the middle, where a number of you see a couple older women, sitting around the outside, spinning yarn and knitting and just chatting the day away. There's an old shrine, which is kind of the side. It's a shrine to Velthaperini, the teacher specifically, and you see a number of kids running in and out. Most of these particular shrines are staffed by like a single priest who acts as both priest and teacher during the day for some of the lower classes, reading, writing, basic history, of the occasional, really, and occasionally marking out those who are truly gifted and perhaps encouraging them to apply to one of the universities in the capital, maybe an apprenticeship with one of the guilds. And occasionally, very rarely, the Imperial Academy of Arcane Knowledge. On this particular day, the priest, a human, older, stands 6 foot, little bit of a lean, long, white hair, kind of pulled back messily, is teaching and laughing, wearing very simple, kind of gray overrobes. Looks up as you kind of come in. It's like, what does Havy look like?
Now, Havy is a fairly modestly dressed individual with a simple brownish cloak over pretty standard kind of gray and brown traveling clothes and sensible boots rather. They would normally just blend in just about anywhere with their attire. Nowhere in a marketplace would they stick out like some might, except for maybe court, some sort of regal event. They definitely would stick out for their drab and plain clothing. Around their neck, they have a symbol of the last friend that is fairly prominent. And about their waist, there is a belt made of owl feathers that might stand out to someone with a very, cute eye. But beyond that, there's not too much to them.
you know, have you been to this particular district before? I guess I should ask that question.
Yeah, I'm imagining that he's frequented each of the different neighborhoods within the poorer district or districts in order to over the years, and has reacquainted himself in the last couple years with these areas to check in on those who care for those who are overlooked and under well underserved.
You would know that this particular individual is known as Teacher Arnfast. He is a priest of Velthaprini, and has been in this particular district for a good 20, 25 years at this point. Is well liked by the community and has been like a focal point. Encourages broader education than most would really say is necessary for even the most, for most peasants, regardless of where they are. But he firmly believes that in Velthaprini's tenets of knowledge, and through knowledge comes betterment, and it is through our both knowledge of ourselves and knowledge of the world around us that we can both better ourselves and better the world around us. A number of his students, a number of people that have been through his school have gone on to become, a couple have become masters of various guilds, joined the Imperial Army. He's even had one been admitted to the Imperial, the Arcane Academy, but that was 15 years ago at this point. He's a good, what might be called a good parish priest, in the very classical definition of the term. But he kind of waves at you and nods as he continues his lesson, currently in poetry. Religious hymns, but poetry. And using various religious hymns that are common to explain certain grammatical understandings of poetry. What do you do as he waves at you?
Havy would give a gentle smile and nod, as to not try and interrupt, pause and listen for a bit to the lesson in order to, in a sense, pay respects to both the priest and that whom the priest serves, seeing that for the teacher, lessons themselves are scripture in many ways, and for that he would sit and listen for a spell.
Could you roll me religion?
I sure can.
26. You know a lot about religion. I mean, then again, one might say perhaps that Havy is a religious individual.
Yes, a devout follower.
Mm-hmm. You would kind of notice that there's a underlying theme to the particular hymns that Teacher Arnfast is choosing to focus on at this particular moment. A number of them have to do with general loss and grief, and a couple of them you definitely would recognize, particularly who you are, of being hymns to Vestru, even if they're not, the friend came to visit and I left with my own friend. there seems to be this underlying theme of that, even if not all of them are hymns to Vestru that you would personally recognize.
Mhm. With that being the topic, I think Havy would wait until there was a pause and say, "Pardon me, but do you care if I share the words of the last friend as part of your lesson today?"
And he kind of turns to his mixed group of students, varying of ages and genders, and there are about 10 of them, ranging from about age 5 to about 16. And he goes, "Not at all. We would be thankful for your share in our lesson."
In the spirit of the prose in which your teacher, as he's addressing the students, has already begun, I give you this poem. Do not stand by my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am the thousand winds that blow. I am the diamond glints in snow. I am the sunlight on the ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. As you awake with morning's hush, I am the swift upflinging rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the day transcending soft night. Do not stand by my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. Remember those who have left with the last friend, for it is their memories that keep them in your hearts and keep them alive.
The teacher Arnfast would kind of bow and smile, that kind of soft, subtle smile, and nod at you. He goes, "Well, and with that beautiful capstone to our lesson, I think we are done for the day." And he kind of shoos the kids away, but he will walk over towards you and go, "My friend, I am glad you could come. Come, I have tea inside."
Excellent.
I have a question for Havy. As, do you keep your hood up at all times?
No. In fact, when he's out to be seen, he does not.
Mm-hmm. So, it would be fair to understand that Arnfast would recognize the subtle species features that Havy presents.
Oh, yes.
Again, the ears are a little distinctive in a empire that's predominantly human and dwarven, with a few gnomes and some halflings.
Indeed.
He kind of invites you inside. The shrine is, again, a smaller wooden building. There are a number of small, as most of such buildings are in the area, there are small altars to each of the 7 gods, but their main altar is very obviously dedicated to Velthaprini, the teacher. And there's a small, what was probably the most expensive piece in this small chapel, a painting on plaster and wood that kind of sits maybe 5 feet tall, that sits over the main altar of an interpretation of Velthaprini, a large, kind-looking human, smiling with a quill with a very fancy, long and elongated, curly feather, with a large book and a number of books behind them with, radiating, sun rays behind them and, the whole spiel. And he'll lead you beyond through the small, sanctuary area to a door off to the left, where it's his rooms. It's one, main room that's both a kitchen and, with a small dining table and a couple chairs. You know, there's one kind of nice chair in front of the fire, and then there's like a curtained area off to the left beyond where, you know, his bed and area is. And he gestures you to one of the chairs at the table. It's kind of heavy and scarred wood. You can smell the incense that's been burned in this building for generations. And he pours you a cup of tea. It's not china, it's heavy clay. Beautifully.
I sit and accept it graciously.
Oh, wonderful person. And he will. So, you noticed my theme today.
I did. Is there a bit of grieving that the community is going through?
It is perhaps preparation for 2 types of grieving that will be going.
Oh, tell me more, Father.
I am not a young man anymore.
No.
I have petitioned the chapter house, the mother house, in the perhaps a younger priest to come. And he kind of holds his hands up. He's like, it's getting a little harder to write in the winter months. And you can see he's kind of got the bent, gnarled fingers of somebody suffering from years of very bad arthritis. I do not want to leave my students before I've taught them and ensured that their next teacher will teach them well.
That is very noble. And I'd expect nothing less from you.
Oh, thank you, my friend. And, there have been rumors that there will be a more formal announcement of a political sort. The chapter houses were talking about preparing the population for an important announcement.
Oh. Is this an actual important announcement or more of, hey, look, the powerful are powerful announcement?
I would not put it aside to consider it the latter, but considering it was all 7 of the high priests and clerics saying the same thing, I'm more inclined to think it is actually impactful and important.
Then, the people must be prepared. Change is difficult for many, and you are right to counsel them in grief, for change does bring about the same emotions that grief and loss do.
And I would rather have them prepared like this than in anger and distress. Oh, and he kind of like, you can hear him like sit back a little bit with his teacup, teacup, you know, just a very simple clay pinch pot vessel. As he kind of sits back, you can hear his back crack. All like, oh, it is, however, good to sit down for.
Well, I am glad that my presence could give you such an opportunity.
I am taking advantage of you, I know, but...
Never. Every moment is worthwhile.
And you, how are you doing, my friend? What do you do these days? What grand adventures have you been on?
Not too much. I've been mostly spending time around the city, checking in on a variety of the community caretakers like yourself. Make sure that you all are in good spirit and as well, shall we say, equipped as possible.
I think we are doing fine here. I have heard that Sister Hilda at the Temple of Ashra is, you know, the one 4 streets down the way and around the corner.
Yes,
They are
yes.
preparing for a festival, and there is some concern that, well, it's the Good Sister's first lead of the Festival of the Mother.
Mm-hmm.
There have been I'm going to try and attend and put my presence there. He kind of cracks his back again. They're talking about it being such a shame that the late Reverend Mother is no longer with us, and everyone remembers her pies as very distinctive. And while I will admit the woman could make a beautiful berry crumble, we should let the good sister try herself. At least I've been telling people that.
Everyone must be given a chance to demonstrate what talents they have accrued over the years.
She's a young, but she will do alright. Although she is competing with, Vilda's berry crumble.
Yeah. Successors often must contend with the nostalgia related to their predecessor.
You are a very smart man.
You should be wise to counsel whomever you prepare to take over that they are not tasked to be the next Oddfast.
That is my hope. That is why I want them to be here, to start before I can no longer be of assistance. And I introduce them, and then...
As long as your mind is keen, you will always be of assistance. Your body may make it harder for you to make the rounds, but that's what the young, fresh legs are for. You can counsel them for many a years. The last friend has given me no inclination that your time is up yet, so let's not start getting too morose.
I am not... Well, I'm quite glad about that piece of news, but I'm not going to become too morose. I'm here for help and encouraging younger legs to walk out in the snow.
Yes.
You don't have that problem, do you?
My legs have a tendency to persist much more youthful than others.
Yeah. But...
However, life is full of mystery. Does the sister need counsel or supplies or encouragement or all of the above?
I think the good sister would benefit from meeting you. That is an idea we should do. And he kind of puts his hand on the table and pushes himself up. I will introduce you to the sister, and she can benefit from your wise counsel, and possibly from your tea.
I do my best to share what I've learned over the years. I hope the tea that I have provided in the past has helped with some of those aching joints.
They burn very much does.
Good.
But, and he kind of leans forward conspiratorially. I have heard that there is a new beverage that Zacharias has begun brewing outside the back of the inn.
Oh.
Yeah, he got a deal with a couple of the Elfrin halflings. It is, one might say, a revelatory experience.
It hasn't caused anyone to go blind, has it?
No blindness. A couple had stomachs and one guy walked into a fence post while smiling extensively.
That's perfectly fine. You can recover from a bonk on the head much better than the loss of eyesight permanently, or even temporarily.
I mean, I did try to prevent Zacharias from making vodka ever again. Oh. I haven't had a hangover like that in many years. But no, this new beverage is very nice. We'll have some on the way back. But come, I will introduce you to Hildur.
Excellent.
Come.
And so, they'll walk and talk, I assume, as we head over to the sisters.
There are a number of people out on the streets in this district who come out and like greet both teacher Arnfast and a couple of the older people would probably greet you politely, recognizing, maybe if not necessarily recognizing you as personally, but definitely recognizing you as that influence of, oh, a person in robes by themselves could be anything, but a person in robes walking with someone who's an obvious priest, oh, look, you're another cleric, another priest,
Yeah.
it's okay. You know, it's like one man in a black suit with a black shirt and black tie, could be anything. Two guys in a black shirt and a black tie, one with a white collar, there we go. Put the two
Yeah.
together and we get it going.
Makes sense. Depending on who's out and about or whatnot, or who's still living, this would have been something that Havy would have done over the years, predating many of the younger folks. So he's probably kind of used to him being more recognized as either just clergy or as specifically a friend of the last friend than he is being recognized for himself.
There are a couple people who definitely it takes them a couple moments to put together which particular clergy you belong to. But when they do, it's like, oh. But there are a couple others who recognize you almost immediately. Most of them are older. And seem to recognize you, and it's not uncommon for perhaps the younger generation to not necessarily pay attention to all the appropriate accoutrements that go with any of the various
Of course.
temples. But yes, and so it doesn't take you long, maybe 15-20 minutes of walking to come to another shrine. It's a little bit bigger than the one on the cul-de-sac to the Velthaprini, the teacher. It's actually a stone building, actually fronting on one of the revitalized streets, paved. Not a main boulevard, but perhaps a new offshoot primary stem street that would be like the core of a quadrangle at some point in the near future. It kind of is at the end, right, and backs up to what was the old city walls. Of course, the city has expanded extensively since those were the final walls 500 years ago. It is a small but a stone structure. The doors are heavy wood and wide open. There's another wooden structure off to the side that's also got a door that's like a what is it called? A Dutch door. So the bottom is closed, but the top is swung open. You can see inside. It's obviously been hung with like white undyed linens and bleached linens. You can see even just as you approach the building, excuse me, what looks like a not quite a whole hospital, but a very much a medical wing of some sort in this offshoot. And standing just, on the steps of the temple, and again, it's not a big church, temple. It's perhaps maybe half a city block wide, including the expansion out to the side. And you can see it back up to the city wall, so it's maybe like 100 yards long. Stone. There's one large glass window set in the above the main door that's just this figure with a veil female figure in a long dress with a veil kind of draped over their heads and around them, and holding a fully swaddled infant next to them. A pretty standard representation for a temple of Ashera the Mother.
Mm-hmm.
And standing on the steps, kind of talking to a number of the people who are going by, is this younger looking woman, human. You can just see the brown of her hair underneath the veil that she's also kind of got wrapped around her hair. Wearing a long blue overcoat dress with a white underpinning layer in a shirt, and a longer black skirt that kind of comes underneath.
I'm assuming that this is who
Mm-hmm.
Priest Arnfast is going to introduce me to, so I will wait patiently for such introduction and defer to the good father.
Yeah, Teacher Arnfast just kind of kind of leans on the stick he's been using as like a walking stick for a little bit, and waits like a couple moments as she kind of has been directing, answering questions and looking a little more and more frazzled, and then you realize that a couple of the people she's answering questions to are what we in certain circles would call the pillars of the community. Those old standfast, I've been at this parish for 25 years, 50
Yes.
years. My family has my name on that particular pew because we donated for the roofing when they put it back up.
Mm-hmm. We helped pay for that medical wing.
We did. And I come to every one of the church festivals, and I make sure it's my pecan pie that is the most important. Everybody knows it. Or if you are in certain other climates, of course we come to this particular festival. We always sponsor this particular festival. It is my meatballs, and you do not get your meatballs from anybody else. I am for St. Teresa's Guild, yes. Certain pillars of the community that you would experience in any form. Mostly older women, but there are a couple of older men as well. And you see Teacher Anton just kind of like or Teacher Arnfast, sorry, not Anton. Anton is a halfling, couple 1,000 miles away from here. Arnfast, and he kind of takes a moment, was waiting, like, and just kind of makes his way loudly, leaning a little bit more on the walking stick that he has to kind of use it as announce his presence, tapping on the paving stones. And you see a number of people look up, like, teacher, and a number of these pillars kind of greet him, and he goes, I thank you for can I please borrow the good sister? I wish to introduce her to some people. I know it's such a shame that I have to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. Are you And he just kind of keeps walking and talking and pulling Sister Hilda away from her adoring fans. Who weren't so adoring. And possibly very put upon. Very...
Havy will suppress a smirk at the teacher's shenanigans and kind of give a very polite bow to the pillars, as it were. For those who know, he would know the particular symbol around his neck. He would make sure that it is easily seen in case any of them were worried about when the last friend may come calling and might want to exit post haste.
I just feel like this is your choice of performance or intimidation.
Oh.
I feel like this is one of those two options.
I think it's performance more for him in
That
this
makes
case.
sense. I would see that.
He's trying to perform a particular type of priestly presence, which is not his forte, but that's not a bad role.
No, that's not a bad roll. With a 19, it takes a couple of minutes for a couple of the, good to meet. I should check on the roast. And you have a couple of people like that kind of slowly disperse and, move away. And then, the teacher, Father Anton, teacher Anton, and Arnfast, what? I named them. I don't care. A names that are two very different characters. And then teacher Arnfast begins leading both you and Sister Hilda inside her own temple. And she'll turn to them. Thank you so much. They have been here for 2 hours, and I don't even know what they're asking anymore. I thought they were asking about the festival, and I believe it started that way, and then we got into the musical performance, and somebody started asking about when we were going, who was in charge of the choir. Am I supposed to make determinations about who was in charge of the choir? I thought that was the choir made that choice themselves. And you don't even have to roll. You can tell that this is her first time in charge of something like this. Her first time at a local parish like this, and not perhaps one of the larger chapter houses where she was one among many devotees and clerics. And she has no clue what she's doing. She wants to try, but she's clueless.
Havy will kind of pulls his deck of cards from his pocket and shuffles them and flips a card and then turns to her and says, sister, you have the glorious position of being pinnacle of decisions now. No matter if you make the decision, you are the one in which people will turn to verify the validity of each decision. This is the nature of your station. And do not think it your decision. Think it the decision of those you've put into positions of competence in which you support.
And you kind of see her nod along with this, is like, thank you. I'm sorry, I have not introduced myself. I am Sister Hilda. I'm the new, mother of this temple. At least I will be after the festival. And then Arnfast is like, this is my dear friend and devotee of Havieth.
Yes, Havieth. Begorale of the monastery in Uraba, often called, or not often called, known as Mende Tontora.
Thank you.
I am happy to be of service. Your predecessor and I have had conversations in the past. I make my rounds as much as I can throughout the city, primarily to those who need it most, and encourage them, bring them supplies if necessary, or where I can help out. I am not a man of means, may it be, as you can tell, but I am one who has a tendency to know things.
Do you have any skill with babies?
Babies?
Yes, the whole midwife thing. I'm okay, but... And you can just see that she's got this slightly panicked look on her face, like... There are... Very nice lady who came. Should know her name. She had triplets. It was an experience. But perhaps you might check on them? Please?
I can try. I am much more familiar with those nearing the end of life than I am for those just starting it. You'll
I
actually see Javi getting a little bit
uncomfortable.
like, yes.
She, Arnfast will see that and kind of give you this like smirking look over her shoulder, but she won't. She is like, you know more than I do. Please come help me check on my patients because I don't know what I'm doing.
I would be happy to accompany you.
And she'll lead you through the kind of vestibule where you were standing in the main temple into the side door that goes down a couple steps into the medical wing. And behind, all the way towards the back, behind a back curtain, she kind of says, Miss Tildy? Miss Tildy, oh, good, you're awake. This is...
I will definitely put away my holy symbol at this point.
You're not going to have your symbol of the death god as you meet the lady who just gave birth to triplets?
No. That would be a faux pas at minimum.
At minimum, I appreciate that. You know what? I like that. Good to know. And you see this relatively young, maybe early 20s woman with holding one infant and then two more on like a small cot right next to her. And teacher Arnfast is immediately in like, he loves kids. It's a thing. It's why he's a teacher of Velthaprini. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, no students. Are you going to send them to? You're going to send them to my school, right? They're going to come to my, and they're like, and you see Tildy look at you, and she's just like, they're teacher. They're 3 days old. I think they can wait a little while.
Yes, but there should always be goals.
Yes.
Javi will make his way over to the mother and say, you did a miraculous thing. And give like a very soft, like tucking her hair behind her ear, kind of straightening out her hair. It's very impressive. I have met many women who did not survive the ordeal, but you did.
Thank you. And you can just see, like, this is a woman who, even if this is perhaps her, you can get the impression that this is her first pregnancy, but she is calm about it. She's still in the celebrating everything went fine. These are my 3 sons. Joan, as she kind of gestures to the one she's holding, and then Jacob and Joachim.
Oh?
Yes, I know. I want to.
Thematic of you.
Their father is Joseph. I figured that if I was going to keep a theme, it would make my life easier.
Yes.
Ah, but you and Hilda looks at and just kind of like, I brought the good father to see if he could just check on the infants to make sure everything is as it should be. I'm just double checking. You could roll medicine if you want, as she's
Sure.
strongly encouraging to check these infants. They are all healthy. They are all well. These are well, Tildy herself is well cared for. Maybe perhaps has a, or she looks like she perhaps has an artisan position somewhere. And they'll be fine. They're totally okay.
Every one of and Javi will take a minute and actually pick up each one and hold them as best as he can figure out. Like, he's seen it enough, he'll fake it. And like for actually holding a baby, and then kind of like looking them over and suppressing the urge to actually turn them over, and kind of rocking them back and forth, and oh, lovely, lovely, and through each and go, they are as healthy as their mother, and you are not only healthy but talented too. I can tell.
A lot of people like my pottery.
Huh?
And teacher Arnfast goes, yes, I particularly like the tea set.
I was wondering if that's where you got the tea set.
And she just kind of smiles, and you can see that she's a little tired, so and like the teacher kind of teacher Arnfast would give you a break and like take the last infant from you, and just like smiles like, and we should let you and your charming trio get some sleep while they can and not screaming. And she will smile, kind of that little bit tired face, and just let you walk out. And as you like get beyond the door, Arnfast would lean over and like side whisper to you, goes, see, infants aren't scary.
No, just unfamiliar.
He kind of winks at you, with a smirk.
I've walked many paths, teacher, but never the one of father.
That is fair. That is fair. But I think we should have
Yes, Sister Hilda, you have a very big event coming, yes?
yes, I'm supposed to host the Festival of the Mother, and I have to make sure that I have an appropriate gift for the table, and
And what is it that you find talent in? You are not the former Reverend Mother. Do not try and make a pie. You will only make yourself trouble.
And she kind of is, as you're saying this, leading you back into like beyond through the sanctuary again. Although the largest altar is to Ashra the mother, there are the 6 others around, with some with candles lit in front of them, and then you can kind of smell the incense burning in the air as she kind of leads you around to the right and back behind the building to like her private rooms, which are a little bigger and slightly nicer than the ones Arnfast has.
When we pass Vestru's, I plan on using thaumaturgy to light one of the candles.
Oh, go right ahead. Are you doing this subtly?
Whisper a prayer.
Okay, but did you want
the
whisper a prayer? Yeah.
Yeah, which is the equivalent of casting the spell.
Yeah, no, but I meant, are you trying to do this without anyone else seeing, or are you just doing it personally?
Mostly just doing it personally, not really thinking too much of it. Yeah.
And so there's this. What does this look like as you do this?
So as they're walking, and he catches eye of the display for Vestru, the last friend, he will actually say a prayer blessing the upcoming feast. And though it is in one of, I guess, in not opposition, but of a time other than Vestru's feasting, that it be comforting and fulfilling for all who partake. And then one of the candles just lights as he walks by.
Do you roll me religion, please?
Sure.
19. Good to know. this light, this candle, just small tea light kind of candle, just kind of flickers into life at the base of the statue of Vestru. And then as you walk back into her chambers, she doesn't seem to pay much, she doesn't comment on it, at least. Arnfest gives you a smile and nod. And she, you'd asked her what she's good at. And she goes, well, very glad I not baking. Baking is not my skill set, so I was not going to make a pie.
Good. Were any of those who were taking up your time previously very proud of their baked goods?
There was a fight about the bread, and I was not paying attention because it got very loud and very aggressive. And honestly, if I thought that they had a baguette in their hand, it might involve drawn bread at dawn.
Very, very well. But what you might do in order to temper their aggression is to very politely ask those who consider themselves a talented baker to do their best for this festival, to pay homage to the former Reverend Mother with their food.
That is a very good idea. I'll take that idea. Thank you, sir.
It will hopefully take the spotlight off of you having to provide the same, and instead they will be doing an honor for both the church, you, and the former Reverend Mother.
Yes. I can work with my skill set when it comes to cooking is not in baking.
Then do not try to be a baker. Be who you are.
Okay. All right. And you kind of see this look of, I need to find the butcher and the cheesemaker in about 16 hours. But I can do that.
Of course, because you have talented folks who will take care of other things for you, and you will just verify that that is correct. So whoever is in charge of the choir, let them take care of the choir and trust them to take care of the choir and have them report to you and say, yes, that sounds great. Keep going. And then you can return to whatever it is you are cooking. Sounds delicious, by the way.
Yes, you stuff it and roll it and then let it cook slowly in sauce for a long period of time.
Oh, it sounds delicious. Teacher, do you happen to remember the family that had made that delicious cheese about 5-6 years ago? It was for some festival contest. They had mixed it in with a few other things, but the base cheese in it was delightful. Do they still make cheese, or was that just a hobby for them?
They're talking about Nicholas. Nicholas,
Yes.
and his wife. They did make cheese. Still do. However, they've moved.
Oh.
They've apparently taken a position, and for their benefit, they got the Imperial's government offered a subsidy to those who would move to Offerentor.
Oh, Offerentor.
Yeah.
That is quite a trek, and we would not be able to get there and back in time.
Definitely because we cannot afford to use the circle. But also they don't have a circle anymore, so that
I was going to say, their circle is defunct, but I would have found a way to help use the circle if it was a viable option. Well, we will have to do with one of the other fine cheesemakers in town. Is there a butcher that either of you know that is particularly religious?
Bianca.
Are they any good?
Yes, they're and Arnfast would turn and go like, yes, their father was Edgar. You know, the one with
Oh,
the spit roast.
yes. I remember him. He had some of the best roast pigs.
And the
What kind of meat are you looking for, sister?
the pork or beef, I need to pound it thin and a good so I can stuff it with cheese and then slow cook it in sauce for.
How many folks are you looking to feed?
Ah, I mean, I should feed if and she kind of looks at the two of you is like, and Ornfast kind of reaches over and pats her hand, is like, just 10 or 20. You can get away with 15. Enough so that everyone tastes. Maybe 10 pounds. That's all you need.
Okay. We can make that happen. All right. So that's taken care of. You have a plan. The infants are healthy and sleeping now. What else can we do for you, sister?
I am concerned about the mausoleum downstairs. I haven't had an ability to have someone come and check the wards in a couple months. And you just see Arnfast look at her like, you what?
Do not worry, teacher. I will. The dead is my specialty. I will go see what I can see.
Yeah. You would also be slightly concerned that there hasn't been anyone to check the wards on a mausoleum in a couple months.
Oh, I am totally concerned. I am not showing that, but I am totally concerned. I will then take, some of. Javi doesn't carry a whole lot of wealth with him. He usually donates it to churches or whatever.
Yeah.
But he does pick up a decent amount and uses it for these kinds of outreach. And he'll take out some coin, approximately what it would cost for a high-end meat and cheese, but also enough to tip them for expediting.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever that would be, and he'd put it in the father's hand, and then put a couple silver in his hand, or add a couple of silver, and say, "Find the best runner that you can trust, and have them get the orders in immediately. These 2 silver are for the runner to make sure that they do not disappear with the rest of it, and that they report back that everything has been placed. And you can check on it later at your leisure. I will go to the mausoleum." Sister, you're welcome to accompany me if you wish, or you can attend to other things.
She will accompany you to at least the top of the stairs. I've never been
fair.
down here. And she kind of like pulls a key, and you can see this, the stairs are through the main vestibule, and they kind of like this swoop around the corner, and there's a heavy wrought iron gate with a big heavy lock, big padlock at the bottom, and she kind of hands you a key. It's like, I will stand here and wait for you. I do not know what to do.
Whatever you wish. If you wish to take away the fear of the unknown, it is best to make it known. You can accompany me if that be what you seek, or you can stay here. Either way, you will be safe. He will grab a torch and run his hand over it with a brief prayer to Vestru and light it.
Yep. She will kind of stand at the doorway, leaning in a way to kind of like watch you, but not walking all the way in. Go
That's
ahead
fine.
and roll me a religion check, and with that previous religion of a 19, you will have advantage on this roll.
Oh, okay.
So just roll again. Oh, 21. You can feel where the wards are, but they are very weak.
Mhm.
They definitely haven't been seen to in a couple months. Would definitely benefit from your skill set.
Mm-hmm. I will start. Well, yeah, I'll start right at the edge where he sees them, the outermost ones, and just kind of reinvigorate them
Mhm.
with prayer and sacrifice. Um,
How long do you take to do this?
for this particular one,
Mhm.
mostly I want it to hold in order to create security for the for Sister Hilder.
Mhm.
So he'd take a little bit longer than just kind of making sure it can take energy. It would actually make sure he leaves energy in it. Because normally he would just check to see if they're able to be recharged or if they have to be remade.
Mhm. No, they can be recharged. They're just
Wait,
yeah. They haven't fallen yet.
yeah. So he would take time and go through the proper rites and ritual, or the proper ritual for, or proper ceremony, I should say, for reinvigorating the ward. Um, so
You begin to hear as you're going through this prayer process a rattle in one of the mausoleums here.
hmm.
You're right.
Javi will make note of it, but try not to even turn toward it. He doesn't want to startle the sister. And then once he's finished, he will go that direction first.
As you take the time, you hear the rattle kind of increase and then
Do I feel like some lock has been
yeah, you
unlocked?
might say that a lock possibly has come off.
That's fair. He will very carefully and slowly. Um, would he be turning a corner at this point?
Yeah, there's a little like path, it's just like you come through and it's the big open, and then there's like a number of small little paths that kind of go right off the main alleyway. What you would
Mhm.
say, and they're not long, maybe like 20, 30 feet each, enough to have like 2 or 3 mausoleums on a side, one at the
Gotcha.
end, and then so about 5 mausoleums or family crypts in an area.
He would put the or the torch into the sconce,
Mm-hmm.
and that's nearest the stairs and kind of out of the way of the mausoleum. And then he would turn that direction and pull his cloak up and about him, disappearing as he heads into that area.
Ooh, very nice. Very nice cloak that you have right there.
Yes,
You
as a
don't.
gift.
Is indeed a gift. Um, you don't have to roll because they suck at stealth. You can see in front of you as you come around the corner, the lock on one of these crypts, the door, this metal, again, gate, long iron pillars has kind of been popped off, and the door is swinging, and in its place you see three skeletons that are kind of cocking their head and moving towards you slightly slowly.
Mm-hmm. Um, trying to remember how many. I'm not too worried about that. Okay. Instead, Javi will skeletons. Do they have any markings? Do they look like they've been awoken by anything in particular? Is there a certain light in their eyes? Anything to indicate that this is something that's been done intentionally or?
Roll me Arcana.
Okay.
22. With a 22, which is a very nice roll, sir, there is a kind of their glow in the cavity where their eyes should be, and you can kind of see this like mist across them. There is energy going into them. It doesn't look intentional. It looks like spillover.
Okay.
Like somebody else did a working nearby and wasn't perhaps precise in their working.
Gotcha.
That was, and now we have undead because the wards here were not good.
That makes sense. So all right. Javi will make his way until he is, shall we say, what's the distance on that?
I mean, like the total distance is perhaps 50 feet from the entire hallway. So.
Okay, well, he'll shadow step in front, or yes, in front of the skeletons, and cast Word of Radiance.
Ooh, what does that do?
They have to make a Constitution save. Target is 21, or take 3d6 radiant damage.
Well, they don't have Constitution saving throws because they're skeletons.
So they each take 13 points of radiant damage.
Well, I get to roll though, but it's not going to be good.
Fair enough.
It's an 11.
Enjoy the 13 points of damage.
Two of them collapse immediately, and the third is just kind of stands there. You see the burn scorching on it.
Go back to sleep.
You are now visible, however.
Mm-hmm.
And he is going to shamble up to you and try and take a swing at you.
Please do.
The iron bar that he is using, which we're basically going to be read a short sword, but it'll be an iron bar.
Fun.
These are local peasants, not anybody who actually had any armor. Don't know. It's a 23. Don't know why it's rolling
a 23
advantage.
will actually hit.
Ooh, for
Impressive.
6 piercing damage. And it kind of like just strikes down on you.
Impressive.
And that's its turn, as it doesn't say anything else because it's a skeleton and it has no vocal cord.
Of course. I will say a prayer to Vestru, guiding the skeleton back to its position of sleep and back to its rightful state of death as I cast Guiding Bolt.
But you not wand it, so it doesn't go off.
Ah. Well then, I will spend a key point to Flurry of Blows with my bonus action and cast Fist twice.
I mean, that's fair. A 25 and a will hit, and the 12 will not,
Fair enough.
funnily enough. But it is like, it kind of steps almost out of the way as your bolt kind of goes just a little bit off. And you can tell it wasn't intentionally stepping, it was just the bob and weave of the discombobulated magic. And as you see it kind of go off and you cast Fist, you can actually strike the skull hard enough that it kind of spins all the way around and the body collapses. And all three of these skeletons are absolutely no problem for our very fine Havy.
I will take the time to put them back to rest, close things up as best as I can. Physically,
Do you have ceremony as a spell?
I do have ceremony. So
Yeah.
I will cast ceremony to perform funeral rites upon them as
Mhm.
part of putting them back to rest. And yeah, I will continue to fortify the rest of the wards and then return to the stairs.
It will take you perhaps the better part of an hour, maybe in two, to finish all of the wards, but no one else seems to be risen. There also doesn't seem to be any other intentional risings going on.
Mhm.
And once the war, you can feel that moment of, this cool comfort, this kind of sensation in the back of your mind of a presence acknowledging you doing good work. Hand on your shoulder.
Mhm.
A sense of Vestru there for a moment. And then as you walk back, Hilda is there and she's got these eyes that are so wide and she goes, I need to learn to do that, don't I?
Or you need to find someone who can.
Okay.
It is not your responsibility to do it yourself. It is your responsibility to make sure it is kept up.
Right. Okay. I can do this.
Would you like to, now that the wards are in place and everything is safe again, would you like to take a tour so you know where they are and what they do?
Yes. And you kind of like see her straighten her spine and like pull her shoulders back. Like, I can do this. And as we fade out on Havy leading the good sister around and introducing her to the wards in her own temple, we will end for tonight. Thank you, Chris, for being here. Thank you for introducing Havy. I'm loving all of this. Tell the good people at home where we can find you, all the good things. Share some love.
Hey everyone, my name's Chris Geary. You can find me on Twitter at Chris Geary. You can find me actually tomorrow morning as I'm continuing my guest spot over on the Hype Goblin as part of the Nexus Adventures crew. I'm playing a dwarven Circle of Spores druid who's also the night shift graveyard caretaker. And all the shenanigans that could happen there. That's 10 a.m. Eastern. And then, of course, not next Saturday, because we've got two more introductions, but the Saturday after that and going forward, you'll find me here Saturday nights on Prax's channel playing Havy. And that's about it for now. But as always, keep your eyes open on Twitter for other announcements as they may come.
Yep. Indeed. So next week we get to introduce the wonderful Pope Roll Builds Brandibus, and then the fabulous Hannah from Animation and Art, her Malik. I cannot wait for you to meet both of these very interesting individuals. Oh, I forgot one minor thing for the good Havy.
Yes.
Yes, a very minor, very, very minor thing. As you are leaving the temple of Mother Ashra, and making your way through the city, a guard, the Imperial Army, kind of walks up to you. He's got a couple of pauldrons to say that he's maybe a lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, an officer, but not highly ranked. Looks young, very much so. But you would recognize him as a member. Excuse me. Excuse me. Of. Where are the. Of the actual Imperial Guards, not the Imperial Army.
Okay.
And he would
So
go
like the Emperor's guards.
the
not-
Emperor's guards, yes.
Yeah.
Guards the Imperial household and the palace grounds. Would come to you and say, kind of looks at you for a moment. Do you have your hood up or down?
If I had my hood up, he wouldn't see me. So
Yes,
I would
this is
say,
true.
assume it's down.
Assume it's down. He kind of takes this moment, kind of glances at you and goes, are you Havy
Beggarale is it's a title.
Uh,
It's not a surname, but yes, that is me.
Oh, all right. By order of his His Imperial Highness Alexander, you are hereby invited to his coronation in 4 weeks. Here. And he kind of like bows as he hands a document to you.
I will thank him and give him a polite blessing as a send off.
And he kind of like cheers up at that as he kind of like walks off. He's like, I did my job. And he was nice to me. I didn't get yelled at. I'm feeling good about life. Look, JGs are useful.
True, and life can be tough enough. Everyone needs to feel important from time to time.
Yep. I almost forgot to have your letter delivered. Because a number of people do know that you're in the city.
Oh, yes. And he's been there for a few years now, so
Yep.
They would know approximately where he wanders, but not like he doesn't stay in any one place for very long. So
yeah, that's why you will eventually find out that there are like 6 squads running around the city who were sent around the city to try and find you. Extend this invitation.
I love it.
And it's a very formal engraved invitation from the desk of the the Imperial household, inviting you to the coronation of Alexander Mackinnon.
And am I familiar with that name?
He is the eldest prince of the empire. Crown prince.
Okay. That's good enough for me.
His father is, sir. You would know. How much time do you spend in the imperial court?
He spends enough time to know what's going on.
Okay. Update all of that on your thing. Yes, I did. All right. So Alexander is 33. He's the heir, crown prince and heir. He's the oldest of the emperor's 4 children.
Mm-hmm.
He has two younger brothers, Agnar, who is 31 and has spent his life in the infantry, and that's basically all he does. He is in the military. And then Arnfinn, who's 26 and is a priest of Velthaprimi, the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And the youngest is Arnora. She is the only daughter, and the Empress Greta died giving birth to Arnora. so it's considered of like she is baby, she is protected. You would know Alexander. He's kind of considered well liked. He does a lot. In recent years, the Emperor hasn't been seen as much. Emperor Sicarius has only really been seen at when he makes his yearly pilgrimage to the Temple of the Mother, the main chapter house Temple of the Mother, on his wife's birthday. But other than that, Alexander has been taking over more and more of public duties in the last couple of years. And indeed, you probably would have seen him in a couple of political events and things like that.
Okay. I think I would, well, I know Havy would rattle off a sending spell back home and let people know that there's a coronation of the Emperor's youngest. Something.
Oldest.
Oh, oldest. Yeah, oldest. Something is transitioning. We shall see which direction it goes.
Mm.
Be prepared.
Who do you send that to?
I think Havy will send that to... I think he's going to send that to Master Carlo. Yes. It's definitely important, and Reverend Mother Araziel will need to know eventually, but this is more of a like, things may be afoot, ready your people, and that would benefit Master Carlo as being the first to know.
You'll just get back. Understood. Oh, awaiting further information. And that is where we fade away, because I almost forgot the most important part. Because in 2 weeks, next week we will be back with Pope and Hannah, and 2 weeks we will come back for the coronation of Alexander Mackinnon. And so many people will get to see each other or meet each other. Interesting things will be happening. But before then, on Wednesday, we will be back with our next episode of Zweihander the Long Retreat, where I get to play Nethra Fusefire, our, not atheist, I'm gonna say militant, anti-religious individual. Nethra has decided that anybody who isn't Gisela and looks like they're a holy person needs to get shot in the face. Obviously, they're intrigued with evil people and demons and raising the dead and all of this shit, so shoot them in the face repeatedly and then burn the body. But my dwarf is a very simple dwarf. Nethra is a very simple dwarf. But that will be our next episode of The Long Retreat. And then we'll be back on Saturday again, like I said, to introduce Pope and Hannah's character. Until then, just check my Twitter, because I always post where I'm going to be, and the fun, wonderful, fabulous folks like these that I get to hang out with every week. And until next time, everybody.